It's no secret that we here at SCI Show Space are pretty hyped about space exploration. And it's not just us. Throughout history, people have been launching themselves into orbit and then beyond in an effort to answer some of humanity's biggest questions. As far back as we can tell, humans have looked up to the stars and dreamed of getting out there among them. But in recent years, space travel has gone from a luxury for the wealthiest individuals to a growth industry. We're talking about hundreds of launches per year with commercial satellites, suborbital joy rides, and plans for orbital hotels and colonies on the Moon or Mars. There's a lot going on, and it can be hard to keep track. So let's take a moment to look at how humans got so obsessed with going to space, and what might lie ahead. The first humans to venture into space did so because they had to. It was the only way to win the race to beat the Russians. In the mid-20th century, the Soviet Union and the United States were in a neck-and-neck competition for supremacy. And while this may sound a little ridiculous today, the Cold War rivalry between these two countries inspired some of the greatest feats of engineering and science ever seen. It drove us to develop rocket ships, artificial satellites, and even nuclear energy. Because of the pressure to outperform the other side, both countries started racing to put the first satellite into orbit and eventually to send a person into space. And when they did, it marked a major accomplishment for the nation and for humanity. But this era of space travel was expensive and dangerous. The rockets used to get spacecraft off the ground and astronauts into space were unreliable and prone to exploding. And so all the efforts focused on getting into orbit or to the moon and back again. There wasn't much thought given to what might come next. Fast forward a few decades, though, and the story changes drastically. The Space Shuttle program ended in 2011, and since then, NASA has taken a bit of a backseat in human spaceflight. Instead, private companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic have stepped into launch vehicles and satellites without the backing of government contracts. And crucially, these companies have focused on making space travel more accessible and affordable. The reason for this change is simple: space tourism. You heard that right. The new space race isn't being driven by national pride or scientific inquiry, but by the dream of making money. And yes, we know it sounds kind of privileged to talk about taking vacations in outer space when most of the world is still dealing with the fallout of a global pandemic. But even if space tourism does start with joy rides for the wealthy, the goal is to scale up quickly. Companies are racing to make space travel as easy and cheap as flying commercial airplanes. And once that happens, well, anything is possible. It's not just about the view, although who wouldn't want to see Earth from above? Being in space can also help us learn more about ourselves. Think of all the things your body does without you even realizing it. Like, you don't think about how your stomach uses gravity to help digest food, or how your body makes bones and muscles based on the stresses it experiences during the day. Well, when those things change, like when you're in zero gravity, you're forced to confront them in a whole new way. For example, scientists study how the heart, lungs, muscles, and even the brain respond to living in space. This research helps us understand how our bodies work in general. But it also helps us figure out how to keep astronauts alive during long journeys. And hey, while they're at it, researchers can also study the effects of space on the human psyche, all of which can teach us more about how to live on Earth. But it's not just our bodies that change when we go to space. As we venture farther and farther away from Earth, we need to find new ways to exist. We might start by setting up shop on the Moon, or Mars, or in orbit. But we can also use space to explore ideas about how to live in completely new environments. Now, this can involve figuring out how to grow plants or recycle materials in space. But it can also involve considering how to design the perfect habitat or how to deal with limited resources. These experiments can teach us how to make the most of what we have on Earth. And with Earth's population expected to reach 9 billion by 2050, we're going to need all the help we can get. And what about when we venture even farther away? Say, we head to Proxima Centauri b, which orbits a red dwarf star about 4 light years from Earth. This exoplanet is roughly the size of Earth and could potentially support life. But it orbits its star every 11.2 days and probably has intense volcanic activity. In order to survive there, humans would need to live underground or inside domes. If that means building radiation shields to protect against harmful cosmic rays, designing climate control systems to counteract the harsh environment, and growing crops in artificial lights, all of these challenges can inspire innovations that we can bring back home. And while that's all well and good, the biggest reason we want to explore space is to solve problems here on Earth. Climate change is one of the most pressing issues facing humanity today. Rising temperatures and melting glaciers, causing rising sea levels and disrupting weather patterns all over the planet. And unfortunately, this problem isn't going away on its own. We need to get to work right now. Luckily, space exploration can help us monitor and potentially reverse the effects of climate change. Satellites orbiting Earth can collect data on everything from rising sea levels to greenhouse gas emissions. One European Space Agency satellite called Sentinel-5P, for example, monitors pollution in the lower atmosphere, helping us better understand how pollutants affect the air quality we breathe. Meanwhile, the European Space Agency's ELS satellite measures wind speeds across the globe, providing critical data for weather forecasts. NASA's Terra and Aqua satellites, meanwhile, monitor changes in the land and water systems all over the globe. They've been gathering data for more than 20 years and have helped scientists measure changes in polar ice, vegetation, ocean temperatures, and more. And NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory is currently working on a measurement campaign to improve the accuracy of flood maps, which are crucial for predicting the effects of climate change on coastal communities. That's just a small sample of the work being done. Satellites and other technologies developed for space exploration have been crucial in monitoring climate change and its effects, and will continue to play a key role in mitigating the worst impacts of a warming world. But what if we can do one better? What if we can actually fix the damage that's already been done? There are several ideas floating around out there, pun intended, about how we can use space exploration to clean up our mess. Proposed projects range from placing giant mirrors in space to reflect sunlight away from Earth to capturing carbon dioxide emissions and storing them in underground reservoirs on the Moon. Others focus on mining asteroids for resources or building solar-powered stations in space that can transmit energy wirelessly to anywhere on the planet. Now, many of these ideas are still in the realm of science fiction, but some are closer to reality than you might think. For example, Japan's Astro Commander project proposes sending a swarm of robots into space to clear up junk. There are millions of pieces of space debris floating around Earth, and as more and more stuff gets launched into orbit, that number will only grow. Eventually, there will be so much junk up there that it could pose a serious risk to future missions. So projects like Astro Commander could help keep space safe and clean for generations to come. But maybe the coolest thing about space exploration is that it inspires wonder. When humans first started looking to the stars, it's likely that we were wondering if we were alone in the universe. And that search continues today, with projects like SETI searching for radio signals from distant civilizations and others scouring the skies for planets that could support life. But even if we never find aliens, we can still marvel at the incredible vistas offered by space travel. Images like the famous pale blue dot taken by the Voyager 1 spacecraft in 1990 have inspired awe and wonder in people all over the planet. Seeing Earth from such a great distance really puts our problems into perspective. And it reminds us that we're all connected by the fact that we call this pale blue dot home. So, the next time you hear about another company entering the spaceflight industry, or a new plan to colonize Mars, or anything else happening in the 6-day journey to Proxima Centauri b, remember that space exploration isn't just about escaping Earth. It's about using everything we've learned on our home planet to explore the universe and solve the problems we face here at home. Thanks for watching this episode of SCI Show Space. If you would like to help support the channel, we have a platform where all of our patrons get to watch our videos early and suggest future topics.